Hi, welcome. In this video, this is part four of my responding to comments by way of a balanced dog trainer coming onto the video and trying to engage, okay, trying to challenge, okay, a approach which reconciles, okay. I talk about the core ingredients, influence, control at the social level, being able to move through a relationship problem. And here again, as I go through the comments, you can kind of see where the objection points are, but also where the fork in the road is in terms of going down a different path. This whole thing of appearances, of appearing to avoid, conflict. Okay, kind of calming the waters. But again, when you consider the themes I talk about, bribery, accommodation, negotiation, even the issue of free will and choice, the context of that within the parameters of a relationship problem, and then you carry this over to the parenting example, it aligns perfectly. You start to see why people so many end up experiencing a counterfeit picture of change. This is part of the package deal with these individuals, and this is where they're being very dishonest in outcomes with not wanting to admit certain things. You saw that whole with the whole Murdoch situation. That went on for months and months and months. And, Mark DeBose, he engaged that. And, it was a gift in the end in a way for a lot of people because you got to see that. I talk about the test. Okay. I put up the video. You'll see how that is applied. There's no way out. But then, then everything makes sense because after that happened, suddenly he's admitting to the fact that Grey Goose is a reactive dog. He can't work through it. And the reason why he can't is because his approach doesn't reconcile the core ingredients I talk about. And he wants to argue and debate all day long and very arrogant, prideful. And those are the things that aren't going to put you in the position to see certain things. Okay, it's the blind spot, and it's inherent to many trainers out there. So here again, another individual coming in talking about here he talks about the thing about free will and choice. See that through um, his comment here. A parent doesn't need to use an aversive tool around the child's neck to get them to walk together. And there's another person that was on here before called Thank Me Later Sport. You go, I did some videos on it with his off leash dog. It's the same thing. Okay, it was the same thing. This whole thing with appearances, the off leash thing, right? I talk about that. Um, so here, K9staya responding. It says, in your world, a child and parents have no conflicts. Everything is rosy. See, same thing. In our world, life is a struggle for influence, education. See, there's this whole disconnect, right? This whole, because it's all appearances, with these individuals. They're not putting things, there's no depth, there's no context, right? And they're being very dishonest. Um, so here, the person responding, well, it depends which dictionary language you use. In biblical Hebrew, obey does not mean submit. It means to hear. So this person's bringing the Hebrew in, but obedience and human rules don't heal. So, and I said this as a Christian, okay? I find it's interesting these people are coming in embracing this lie. Um, you know, I talk about relationship, depth, but this issue about being able to put things in proper context. Um, that's why I think it's a mistake to explain every cooperative behavior through obedience or demands alone. Wolves coordinate, live together through communication, social relationships. And that's the same thing with getting this thing about talk about the calming signals. Did a video on this. Okay, this thing about at the social level, appearances again get you in trouble because talk about hierarchy, talk about strength and weakness defined, how the deck gets reshuffled. You don't see overt physical force on display for a reason, right? Because of what's happening at that level, the relational dynamics in play. Doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay, it just means that when we try to put our interpretation on it through what we expect to see, we can be deceived into taking certain things and interpreting them a certain way and out of context. That's like I talk about the context of agreeableness. through certain concepts, how they're applied at a response level, right? Think about that. So when there's no depth, it really leaves you at the mercy of appearances. And that's what's happening in the dog training community. Pressure exists, but it doesn't have to be the primary explanation for every interaction. See, this is where it gets appearances, appearance based. See that word cooperating in there, responding. So this is the deception. This person is right in the trap of it. Goes on. Thanks for sharing your perspective. However, when you said the dog is responding to your body language and not just a leash, I disagree. That's not the dog responding to your natural body language. That is conditioned punisher or conditioned response to the leash using punishment or mental leash pressure. In other words, the dog is staying close to avoid the leash correction building up, negative C. So there's the thing about the transition part. Okay, understand that when it's reconciled properly, okay, this is what moves you through perceptions changing, okay, through the integrity of that. Okay. If it doesn't come together, right? If it's like this, why I talk about this whole loose leash thing, the thing with appearance, problem with appearances. If it doesn't come together, if it's not reconciled, the integrity of those interactions are not aligning properly through the right, I talk about language, right? There's a difference between, like I explained, it's a difference between a parent child dynamic where the conversation's happening and say the child just did something. Your intent is to have a serious conversation, and it's a difference between standing 20 feet away from the child, right, having a conversation, and the child's like pupils are dilated, like they're like looking right beyond you. They're not dialed at all. Difference between that and like touching knees, right? You're sitting down with the child face to face. You haven't seen that, right? Parental influence, right? That changes that whole interplay of what that conversation, okay, represents. And so here, when we talk about this person here is getting into the whole thing with this whole thing about response, because understand their response is driven anyway at a certain in a very superficial way. So to have any conversation about those core ingredients being reconciled the right way and what that produces coming through it is lost. It's lost in translation here, right? Because this person here is going on about the leash and all this stuff, and I disagree and all that. Well, he says this is an honest observation. No, it's not an honest observation. There's no honesty in this observation, right? Um, it's just K9staya. And finally, the real question: why are you here? Yeah, why? Why you come to this channel? If the balance method works for you. That's why I say all along. Like he sees it, right? It's like if everything worked, why seek new information? Why argue with terminology? Once again, doing something even if you don't want to is an integral part of life. It's a foundation of life, education and order. Demands can be made adequately in their see. So that's the same thing when I talk about the permissive parent. Kind of I call it displaced blame. It's the same thing. The permissive parent, right? They cause the problem through the parenting style, right? They start to enable the child to act out. The child becomes very selfish, but at the end of it, right, the child starts to become older. There are more and more conflict. Then something really bad happens, and then the parents like, I don't understand what happened, well, even though they caused it from the very beginning. And that's how this works. This type of blame shifting, right? This type of saying, I don't know what happened, because this is how the entire dog training community is built on, including a lot of dog owners. This is a whole thing about what's been happening here. So they're being fed a lie. Trainers are making money off of it. They put their reputation into it, and there's no way out of it. And so they can't respond. When I put out information I put out, they can't respond to it. They're gonna try to attack the person, attack something. Um, but this is where we're at. It's so bad. I mean, I think K9staya gets it, but it's almost at the level where it's very, very discouraging. Like you really can get to a point where like you want to give up. You just say, you know what, I'll do something else. This is so just let it let it play out. These people are so lost, and I'm not going to do that, and I'll do something else in life. I mean, it's that discouraging, really, and I can understand that, you know. But my thing position is, you know what, I'm gonna even if it's about the few, which it is about the few, I'm gonna keep moving forward. And I hope that even though it doesn't help this individual, may not, who knows, maybe a year from now it will, but I'm going to put information that hopefully helps a few people shake out of this stuff. Can it get turned around? I don't know at this point. This is like long term. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And I think, you know, you know, as to where this is all heading, I could see the forestry movement continuing to gain ground, take over, even as the problems continue to get worse and worse and worse. Because balanced dog trainers, they're part of the problem. They're not part of the solution. They've been playing both sides of the fence and been getting away with it. Um, but that's all thing coming to an end because you can't do that forever. Sooner or later, the ideology is going to win out, and the ideology, it does not reconcile, okay, their idea of trying to bring um, you know corrections and certain devices into that equation at all. Um, they're caught in this trap. They can't get out of it. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. This person responds, "I'm here because I enjoy learning and challenging my own assumptions." See, that's crap. I think it's great that you guys are challenging mainstream dog training. No, he doesn't think that's great. That's the only way to grow is a challenging it. So, because he's unsettled, he's here trying to challenge and making basically inflammatory comments here. Okay. Um, that's how you know if an idea is true. He's challenging at all angles. I don't disagree that life involved. I disagree that their primary methods for cooperation. Right, this whole thing. Right, obedience is a human cooperate. So it's this whole thing. So he says, "Oh, he's here to." No, I mean, understand these people, these individuals. They're not here to try to play nice. That's why when you, because when you get to the crux of it, even if you look at the force free side of things, right? They will not, their association will kick people out, balanced dog trainers out at the hint of using certain devices and stuff. Balanced dog trainers will take just about anybody, right? But they're in a mess themselves, right? Because they're playing both sides of the fence, so they'll take anybody. Um, but look at what's happening at the recent stuff with the Balanced Dog Trainer Association. Like they're at each other's throats. I mean, they're so bad. Um, I did videos on it already. Um, so here it goes on. I think that's part of it. You can't put all balanced dog trainers in one box. The group is too diverse and all of them have different views. No, see, that's the problem, right? It's like, yeah, you want to, oh, you do clicker training? Oh, we do that. Oh, treats, we do that. Oh, this we do. I mean, it's this whole thing with playing all sides. And what I show is there's not this whole statement that's been around forever. There's more than one way to train a dog. No, there isn't. Okay, there just appears to be based on appearances. Okay, that statement is based on appearances. The truth is subjective. See, this is what has been going on. Now, if I look at the mass, it says attacking balance trainers doesn't improve dog training. It just creates more division. No, it does improve it. Okay, it's going to improve it because you're saying here's the problem, right? I mean, it's not balanced. Training's not a learning based exercise, so it doesn't create more. How can you possibly create more division? It's so divided now. I mean, it's impossible. No, it's about the truth. So, what I have to say appears to be divisive only because so many people have embraced the lie. So, what's the lie? The big lie is that training's a learning based exercise. It's not. It takes a path of a intervention, you know, at the social level. I talk about the core ingredients, how they're reconciled in one way only. It's interaction based. That's it. Um, if an idea is wrong, challenge the idea. If a method is flawed, demonstrate why. We're doing all that. But dismissing an entire group of trainers as a false ideology oversimplifies the see. So when he says, "Oh, I'm here to get along," no, here it is. He's upset. This person's upset. oversimplifies a profession filled with different views. No, it's a joke. Balanced dog trainers are compromised. They're in a trap they can't get out. Progress comes from open discussion, question. So there's no open discussion here. There's just this attack, right? Well, good luck with that. Okay, that's all I have to say because I put out specific information, and this person's coming in here, right? Like I said before, why? Like he said, why are you here, right? Why you? You're getting thrown on the rocks of your own, of your own with your own ideology. That's just what's going to happen. And that's what's happening. So people could take it however they want. Okay. Um, and he goes on here, stays talking about that. I realized many years ago is a balanced positive reinforcement is a complete lie. So he goes in, so you can read his comments here. Um, you know, so it's just, yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. So balanced dog trainers. There's a reason why they sound like force-free trainers because they're jumping into a relationship problem the exact same way. The only difference is they're bringing in, right, this whole thing with the four quadrants. They're using corrections of bringing in negative to try to firm up an already superficial picture. Okay, but it's a completely open door to perceptions of dogs not changing. Right, it's a type of spectrum. You go further down away from an interaction base through balance training, then on the other side, force free. But that door is already open to a counterfeit picture. That's it, because those core ingredients can only be reconciled one way. I'm very specific about it. That's it. The trainers don't like it because they already made their choice. So they're in here trying to argue from a position of not even asking the questions of themselves. Not even, they're not even out of the starting gate yet. Right. So, but thanks for watching. I hope these series of videos help somebody out there. I do have options, okay, on my site. I'll put that plug in. I have my member area option. And my goal coming up is do a type of I call it like a master class, okay, of how to take that first step, okay. And like I'm talking through these videos, but I'll be going into even more detail about if you feel like you're very emotionally like struggling and it's hard. And I admit there's a lot of hard, difficult information here. But if you're in a position of saying, hey, I want to understand more of this, I want to be able to make that first small, like that baby step towards change with my dog or as a trainer. So I'm going to develop a series of videos that's going to, just like I'm talking now, but going into more detail about all of this and, um, hopefully to be able to help people. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check out my member area option. I'm going to talk about that this whole thing about a fake picture versus a counterfeit picture, how to start to move forward, how to change how you think, how to move through a relationship problem, not just stall out or be on the outside looking in. How to how to take some significant steps towards change. I know it's a challenge. I know there's lots of challenges here, but understand that for those who are wanting that. So check out my member area option. There's already lots of great content in there talking about these type of things. So that'll be a series I'll be doing here in the next coming probably 2-3 weeks. So you can check that out. And right now, about the change, as of this video, is probably just a few days left. I'm offering a special rate for my member area and for my introductory course. So right now I'm offering special discount. They're going to go away here shortly. So I encourage you, if you're thinking about it, take advantage of those right now. They'll change as of the 1st of July. Those are going to go back to their regular rate. So, but again, appreciate everyone's support. Appreciate you watching the videos, and hopefully these have helped. And if you have more questions, contact me. Thanks for watching.